everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I had a few requests to show how I did a background in this book from the video I popped on the other day. So it was, just show you, it was this one. So I have actually gone across 2 pages with this, but I haven't finished this side yet. So it was a Prima watercolour background. I did lift some of the paint off with a cloth. That's what's give it the sort of cloud-like effect, and then I splattered some acrylic paint over the top. So I'm just gonna demonstrate how I did it. So I thought I'd do one the same colour because people have requested that. So I'm gonna do these pinks, purpley tones on this page, which I thought would go quite well with the ice cream, and also this page has a lot of background area, so I thought that would be pretty cool to do. And then after I've done this one, I'm going to use some different colours to do one in the new Gothic Fantasy Special by Colouring Heaven. Now I know there's been some question marks over the quality of this paper, and people have been wondering if watercolour would hold up in it. So I am going to test it out on this page, and I'm going to use some blues. Some blue tones on this one. Now if I ruin a page in this book, it's not the end of the world, it's one page, so I will be the tester for everyone else for that one. Oh, we're stuck. So yeah, but first I'm just going to get into this. So the colours that I'm using are the Prima watercolour set, the Pastel Dreams. So the colours I used for the background were just 2 shades out of this palette, or 2 or 3 shades. It was these 2 pinks and this purple down here. Excuse my messy palette because I just re-wet everything and reuse them. I don't tend to clean it off. But yeah, I just dip into these. So I have got some fresh water just in a little glass. I'll rock and roll over here. And I have got an old dishcloth which is full of paint, which I used to pick up some of the colour off the page, and I'm using the Princeton Neptune water brushes because they're absolutely gorgeous. This number 12 is a good one for backgrounds because it's a large brush, and then I use the size 4 for, I'll probably not use the size 4 today, but that's for going around any details, small details, but we've not really got much to avoid on this page, that's why I've picked it out specifically. Yeah, so let's just get going, shall we? I'm going to wet all these paints first that I'm going to be using. So we'll splat some water on there. You probably will see me adding lots more water onto these at some point. I'm just going to let them sit for a minute. Put all that there for a second and we'll give it a minute. The paint that I used to splat on at the end is the Decorat Americana acrylic paint. Now you can get these little ones, these are 59 mils, and I think they're around, are they around £3-4 for this size? You can get a bigger one which is £9 for the bigger size. If you do a lot of backgrounds and a lot of like throwing white paint on for stars or anything like that, then I'd get the bigger one, to be honest. I think I'll get myself the bigger one. But yeah, I think my camera went out of focus for a second then. I apologise. But we're not doing anything yet. So I have put this washi tape border on this time, and that's purely because I'm going right to the edges. I didn't want it going all over my desk. So I have popped that round. I'm a bit hit and miss with this washi tape because it might rip my paper, but it's just a demonstration of how I've done this. So, and I can print it again. Now the paper that I've printed this Mr. Cat Mirrors page onto is a 180 GSM paper, and I believe the paper in this one is 100 GSM. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. So yeah, so we're going to see the difference here. So first off, I'm going to do a sort of, we're going to do wet on wet, so I'm going to wet the page first before I put the colour down. So dipping your paintbrush into the water and just whizzing water all round, wetting it all. You can do it section by section if you want. I might end up having to re-wet a bit over if I'm going too slow, but I do tend to try and just get it done quickly and whack it on the page. You'll see there's no rhyme or reason to me doing these pages. I literally whack the colour on. Right, so now that that's wet, got a bit of a weird line going on there. But once that's all wet, we're then going to dip into the colours. And all I did for this page was I mixed them all up like that. I just literally had loads of water, mixed them on, and do that. And was it on. Dip into some purple and have some different tones in there. Not bothered if I go over the illustration, because I'm going to be using wacky colours for the actual illustration as well. So that's going to all be like your pinks, your purples or whatever. But yeah, that's all I'm doing, mixing them up, whizzing it on. Not bothered if I'm going over them toffees, because they're all going to be pinks and purples and bright colours. I may even go over those with gel pen. We'll see. Dip into a bit more pink. But you can see how fast I'm working with this. Just so it does still all run. And it's not drying up any. Right, so whilst it was all still rather wet, put a bit more up there. Whilst it was all still rather wet like that, I then got my cloth, and you just pick it up, and you can see it's on the cloth there. You can either, I put my finger inside the tea towel, so we've sort of got a finger sized amount of lift up like that. See all the areas you're pulling the colour up from. You can go in as much or as little as you want with this effect. I'm going to lift that up because it is pooling a little bit where the page has gone crinkly now. But you can really go to town, do as little or as not as you want. And that's pretty much it. And then I allow this to dry before I go in with the acrylic paint. So I'm going to go away, pull this page off, get the Colouring Heaven page to do, and then we'll put the acrylic paint on after. So see you in a second. So I'm back with this page now from the Colouring Heaven magazine. This one here. I've tried to clip it down the best I can, and I have put paper behind it because it's really thin. I don't want the water going straight through to the next page. As you know, when we did the Mr. Count Mirrors page on the 180 GSM paper, it went down perfectly. There was no pilling, there was no nothing. So I'm a bit scared for this because this is only 100 GSM if I'm correct, and it is really thin. So I might be pushing my luck here, especially wet on wet. But let's just give it a bash. So I'm going to go for blues on this one. And the blues I've picked are from the Prima watercolour set again, but this one's the Decadent Pies. And there's some lovely rich blues in this palette which I'm going to use. They're going to be really deep and dark and hopefully look really nice on this page. So again, I'm just wetting them all. Then I'm going to clean my brush off and we're going to pre-wet the page. So this might just go horrifically. But at least I've tested it out for you guys. If this goes horrific, you know not to do it in your own Colouring Heaven edition. And then you've not ruined your copy then. It's just me what's ruined mine. So let's just go in and wet it. I'm trying to be cautious with this. Trying to be cautious. I'm not too fussed if I go over illustrations. I'm doing a blue background on this and I'm going to do a nice blue flower as well. So if the blue goes over the flowers, that really does not matter. I'm going to make it all tie in. So you can see already this is not going to end well, guys. This isn't going to end well. Dipping into the paint and I'm going to splash it down onto the page. Oh god, this is a bad idea. Oh Kirsty, this is a horrid idea. Put some green in. Oh Kirsty, no, this is not your best. Oh, it's just seeping. Oh, this paper. Oh, this paper. Guys, this was never going to be a good idea, was it? Let's be honest. I can feel it already, the paper. It's just like, yeah, it's just not good, guys. I mean, we'll give it time, we'll give it time. Who knows what it's going to be like when it dries. She says, very optimistically. Oh, can you sense the suspension? Suspension! That's not the right word, Kirsty. Tension. Right, let me wet this a bit more and we can go down here. And if I've missed any bits out, shout at the screen. Let's get around that moon. And try and get in there without going on her clothes too much. Now I have to get in here in between whatever's coming down from her hair. I think I've just gone over it a bit. You know what, I'm going to blend it in. We're not going to have her hair going down there, I've decided. Does anybody else do that to colouring pages? Just make your own thing up. Possibly, actually, I'm going to give her whiter and then get some Posca pen. Or the white paper pen that I have. And draw that in over the top of the watercolour. Oh, I don't want to go on her face, do I? Careful. Right. Leave that bit in. So you can see it's pooling. You can see it's pooling in lines all the way down. But I'm going to go in with my cloth now and lift up some of the colour like I did on the previous page. So hopefully that will rectify some of it. Oh, that's given a quite a nice effect, isn't it? Oh my days. I'm so nervous. Can you tell I'm nervous? My voice has just gone all like, oh, what are you doing to this page, Kirsty? What are you doing? It's giving the texture of the cloth this time is going into the page, which I think it's because the water's drying up. But it's not a bad thing. Let's just see. It's not a bad thing. It's quite a nice thing, but yeah, it's because it was drying up a bit. Let's try and get in the middle there, get some colour pulled up from there. You can see it all just running. I'll be very interested to see if it's gone through all the mammoth amounts of paper I had around the outside as well. So there we go, guys. I won't know what this has done to the paper until it's fully dried. So I'm going to allow this to dry fully along with the other page that we did first, and then I'm going to come back and we'll find out the verdict. So we are back with this page because this one is dried. That weird line I said was there when I was putting the water down. It's still there. I don't know what. It must have been some grease on the paper or something that's just, it's clung to it. But not to worry, because the acrylic paint I'm going to splat on, I'll make sure I splat lots on over that so you won't even notice it's there. So the acrylic paint, as we looked at earlier, just going to put a little blob on a palette. Oh, maybe that was a bit too much. And then I'm going to, where's my cloth? I need my cloth to wipe the brush off. I'm going to just add some water to this to water it down. Oh no, I've got green in it. Make sure your brushes are clean first, guys. Make sure your brushes are clean first. Wasn't the brightest idea, was it? It's gone. It's gone. Let's make sure that we've got quite a bit of water on there. And then I'm going to use a different brush. I really shouldn't have dipped that brush in. I didn't realise what brush I had in my hand. Don't put your best watercolour brushes in acrylic paint. I've washed it off now really quickly. Yeah, use an old brush with acrylic paint. An old brush. I'm going to use this little cheapy thin brush. So I'm just going to dip it in, and then I'm literally going to tap really hard on top and flick it so that you get not only dots, but you get these weird lines. Oh, maybe not on this one. It did it on the other one. I got some really strange lines on my other one. It's not doing it this time. Perhaps it needs to be a bit thicker for that. Let's put some more paint on. Trial and error. Trial and error. Yeah, I think it needs to be a bit thicker with it. With me wanting the effect I want. Let's try. Yeah, so more of a splat. Don't water it down as much and you'll get these lines. There we go. Let's just put it straight in. Don't water it down if you want the lines. If you just want dots, you can water it down, that's fine. But if you want them wicked lines that I had on my other page, just use it as it is and just blob it on. So we've got trying to cover up that grease line. What was the... Let's whack a load over there. Now, if you're worried about going over onto your illustration, I'm not too fussed, but if you're worried about it, colour your illustration first before doing this and do this at the very end. Let's get some down here. Wacky lines. I've used this as well, this effect with the way it's going down in lines. I've used it on a page that I've done like a galaxy background before, and it almost looks like constellations, if that's the word, if that's the right word. But it's hit and miss. Hit and miss getting these lines on. Try not to go too much onto the illustration, but if I do, I do. Let's try and get some up here and over there. Whoop. Come on. Perhaps need some more paint for it to blob on how I want it to blob on. Oh, went in the washi tape. God damn, there we go. There we go. Drips everywhere. Oh, it's gone on my desk as well. It's very messy this, guys, but it's fun. Messy but fun. And that's pretty much it. That's how I did the unicorn page. Obviously, every time you do a page, it is going to be slightly different. So this is this one. The one in my book is here. So you can see, similar kind of effect, but you are always going to get a slightly different effect when you do it. But it's super fun. I'm not going to take that washi tape off until it's all dried. So I'm going to set that to the side and we'll come back with the Ennis page and see if that's dry. So now we're back with our Colouring Heaven page. I have to say, it's almost dry. It's maybe a little bit damp in places, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, if that makes sense. When I first put the water to the page, I thought, oh no, it's just gonna, this is gonna either rip my paper or it's just gonna go straight through straight away. It's gonna crinkle really bad. And it's, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So I'm gonna do the same thing now with the white acrylic paint. Hopefully this won't go everywhere, but I've got more things I don't really want to get it on this one, but we'll give it a little bash. It might look nice on this page, this effect, because it will just look like stars or constellations, like I said, with the colour. Obviously with these pages being single-sided, I'm not fussed about, you know, you don't have to colour the other side of this page, so you won't be fussed about, because this will leave a texture, a raised texture, but I won't be really fussed about that. Let's get some up here. I can't do it with my left hand. I'm left-handed, but I can't do anything with my left hand, and when I come over here with the thing trying to tap it, I feel like I'm not in control of my hand. It's really strange. I write with my left hand and do everything else with my right. Is anybody else like that? People say that's ambidextrous, but it's not, because I can't write. Well, I can write to an extent with my right hand, but you can tell it's not my dominant hand, if that makes sense. You can tell. I'm going to move the page up where we get the bottom bits. Oh, that's a crazy one, isn't it? It's just mad, the little squiggles it puts down when you flick it like this. I love it. It's crazy. No, I can't do my left hand at all. Goes all over my desk though as well. If you don't want it all over your desk, I suggest putting some sort of sheet down or paper. Perhaps needed to add a little bit more water to this one. You have to flick it really harshly, but I'm scared of doing that because I don't want it all over my illustration. But you do have to flick it hard. Oh, let me wipe that off. You do have to flick it hard to get it to go down like that. So yeah, this is obviously a demonstration, but if you're doing it, colour the illustration first, because then you can go to town on it. You're not panicking. And if it does then go on the illustration, it doesn't matter. It's part of the effect. Whereas if it goes on the illustration now, you're going to either have to scratch it off to colour over it, or you're going to have issues. But yeah, that's alright for me, and I'm going to leave it at that. I will let that dry, like I'll let the other one dry, and then I'll come back, take all the washi tape off, and just have a look at how bad the paper's crinkled, if there's any bleed through on the other side, and all those good stuff. So I'll see you in a minute. I'm back before this paint's actually dried, because my friend has just messaged me and said, take that don't leave that masking tape on too long, you've more chance of it sticking to your page. I was like, oh no. So I'm gonna take it off now. But yeah, there is chance this will stick to my paper, because like I say, I have not found a masking tape yet that doesn't rip your paper. And I have put this on my jeans loads. I'm gonna get white paint all over me as well because it's not dry. But yeah, there is a little bit of where it's gone through the masking tape around the edges, but not too fussed. It's not the cleanest line ever, but it'll do me. There we go. There's just a bit at the top, a little bit at the top that's come through. Not to worry. But how cool is that? Look at me. Look at me. You can tell I've been painting. But that's that one. So I'm going to put that one to the side now, and we'll get the Enniscuro page, because I know you're all probably curious as to what this has done to the paper. So we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't rip my page. If it does, you can always put a decorative washi tape around the edge to cover it up if it rips the paper. So that's what I will probably do if it does that to me. It has seeped underneath quite a lot on this one. Quite a lot. Oh yeah, it's ripped the page. It's ripped the page. It's ripped the page, guys. Emergency. So I will put a decorative washi tape around the edge of this. I'll find a nice one in my pack. Or even put some metallic paint around the edge. Anything like that will cover it up. Yeah, it's totally stuck to this side, guys. And when it does that, there's nothing you can do. You just have to accept it. You have to accept it. Either try and cover it up or put a decorative washi tape round instead. But it has totally ripped that side. It's come up at the top. I can glue it. I can either glue it down with some Mod Podge or something, or just accept that that has happened, and that the same on this side. It's ripped all the way up on this side. So I've just took the rest of that tape off because it was getting stuck to me a little bit, and I needed to move the page to get it off. But you can clearly tell the difference. So this is my 180 GSM paper, which although it has come through a bit, you can tell the lines are a bit crisper. than on this page. It didn't rip the paper at all on this one. None of my paper is ripped from the washi tape on this 180 GSM. This has been atrocious. It's ripped all down this side. It's ripped, totally ripped that off. I've just popped a little bit of glue on to see if I can get it to stick together, but it totally ripped that side of the page. We've got a lot of, you know, it's not a neat line at all. The paper really struggled with that tape. It really struggled, and the watercolour just seeped underneath it all. But yeah, it totally ripped, totally ripped. So there's a big difference there. I really don't recommend putting washi tape, masking tape, sorry, on this paper. It's going to rip it to shreds. Absolutely rip it to shreds. I'm going to turn this page over to have a look on the back. I'll have to be a bit careful because my acrylic paint is still wet. But yeah, on the back you can just see where the acrylic paint is still wet. But there's no actual bleed through from the watercolour. There's no bleed through from that. This page is fine. On the opposite side, it's not crinkled as much as I thought it would. Now I'm not sure why it's not crinkled as much on this paper, because on my 180 GSM paper it seems like it's crinkled a bit more, possibly. I don't know, but once I lay that in front, lay some heavy things on top of that, I can flatten it out. But it does seem like this paper is crinkled more than the Colouring Heaven. Really strange, but the paper is not, you know, it's ripping. It is ripping. It's ripped all the way down. So I think I've put that bit of glue on now. I'm either just going to leave it, or I will put a decorative washi tape round, or splat some metallic paint around the edges or something. But it's not done as bad as I thought it would in regards to crinkling and things. It's just the paper is really thin, so it will seep. It will sort of just run everywhere, and it's going to rip your paper if you put any sort of masking tape on. But yeah, I've tested that out so you guys don't have to. You can either destroy your pages or leave them. But that's the two pages that we've done today. You can see the crinkle on this one. It's not laying flat, but we'll sort that out when everything's dry. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed watching this video. I hope it's answered some questions for you. Please do hit that big thumbs up. Drop me a comment down below. Have you tried any other mediums in this Colouring Heaven book at the moment? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.